A life cut short, the killing of Cameron Lamb, December 2019. A young black man named Cameron Lamb was gunned down in his own backyard in Kansas City, Missouri. He was just 26 years old, full of life, with dreams and aspirations. An aspiring mechanic, a loving father, a son, a brother. His life, tragically cut short. The perpetrator, a Kansas City police officer, Eric DeValcaneri. DeValcaneri claimed he saw Lamb with a gun, a claim disputed by eyewitnesses. Lamb was, in fact, unarmed. He was simply parking his pickup truck in his garage. This was not a high-crime area, not a drug bust, not a dangerous situation. This was a young man, at home, on his own property. Cameron Lamb's death, like so many others, ignited outrage and protests. It became a chilling reminder of the systemic racism that continues to plague our nation, particularly within our justice system. His death was not an isolated incident, but part of a larger, more insidious pattern. A pattern of police brutality, racial profiling, and a blatant disregard for black lives. Unveiling the pattern of systemic racism and police brutality. Cameron Lamb's death is a tragic echo of countless other black lives lost to police violence. Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Tamir Rice, Eric Garner, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd. Let these names sink in. Let all of these names ring out as the actions of injustice in an unjust system. These names, and countless others, are stark reminders of the deeply rooted systemic racism that permeates our society. Systemic racism is not just about individual acts of prejudice, it's about the way our institutions are designed and operate. It's about the policies, the practices, the unspoken biases that disadvantage black people and other marginalized communities. It's about the school-to-prison pipeline, mass incarceration, housing discrimination, healthcare disparities, and economic inequality. In the context of law enforcement, systemic racism manifests as racial profiling, excessive force, and the presumption of guilt placed upon black bodies. It's the constant fear, the feeling of being unsafe, of being targeted simply for the color of your skin. The killing of Cameron Lamb is not just about one officer's actions, it's about a system that allows such actions to occur with impunity. It's about a system that devalues black lives and perpetuates a cycle of violence and oppression. Missouri's legacy, a history steeped in racial injustice. Missouri's history is marked by racial injustice, from the Dred Scott case to segregation and lynchings. The legacy of slavery and Jim Crow still affects education, healthcare, and housing. Cameron Lamb's death highlights the ongoing struggle against systemic racism. Missouri's policing today remains shaped by a combination of historical tensions, ongoing racial disparities, and challenges around police accountability. While some reform efforts have been made in the wake of high-profile events like the Ferguson unrest, significant concerns about racial profiling, excessive use of force, and a lack of accountability persist. Police-community relations, especially in black communities, are strained, and there is a continued push for more substantive reform to address systemic issues in Missouri's law enforcement practices. It's a call to action for justice and equality. A broken promise of justice, the commutation and its aftermath. In a semblance of justice, Eric DeValcaneri was convicted of second-degree involuntary manslaughter and armed criminal action in 2021. This verdict, a rare instance of accountability in police brutality cases, offered a glimmer of hope. Hope for a shift in the system, for a recognition of the value of black lives. However, this hope was dashed in 2024 when Missouri Governor Mike Parson, a staunch supporter of law enforcement, commuted DeValcaneri's sentence, effectively granting him freedom. This act, widely condemned as a miscarriage of justice, sparked outrage and protests across the state and beyond. The commutation of DeValcaneri's sentence was a slap in the face to Cameron Lamb's family and the black community. It reinforced the belief that there are two systems of justice in America, one for the privileged and one for black people and other marginalized groups. It underscored the immense power imbalances that continue to define our society. This act of executive clemency was not just a blow to the pursuit of justice, it was a stark reminder of the long and arduous journey that lies ahead in the fight for racial equality. The path forward, reparations and the pursuit of equity. The killing of Cameron Lamb underscores the urgent need for systemic change. It's time to implement concrete solutions. Reparations for Black Americans are gaining traction. They acknowledge and repair harms from slavery, Jim Crow, and systemic racism. Investing in Black communities creates economic opportunities and addresses disparities. Reparations can include financial payments and investments in education, healthcare, and development. They are an investment in a just and equitable society. Reparations addresses the legacy of racism and its consequences. It's about creating a future where Black lives thrive, building a nation that lives up to its ideals of justice and equality for all. Moving forward. A comprehensive solution to Missouri's policing problems involves not just reforming police practices, but also addressing the systemic issues of racial inequality and injustice that underlie law enforcement practices. Effective change requires collaboration between police, lawmakers, community organizations, and the public to create a justice system that prioritizes safety, fairness, and equity for all citizens, regardless of race or background. It is a long-term process that demands systemic transformation at every level of society.